It's the Logan Power Show. Inspirational and motivational. It's the Logan Power Show. Informational to help you grow. Logan Power Show. And now the host, Calvin Logan.
Welcome to the Logan Power Show. It's me, your host, Calvin Logan. And I want you all who are listening to me right now to understand this, that the time is now for you to sit back, relax, and enjoy another episode here at the Logan Power Show. I want you to understand that your life matters, people matter, and that you want to make a difference. I got with me a young man who's gonna get himself into the rings. We call it, your first time in the ring. He's come a long ways, happily married, a father of 5, and he's going to do some great things here in South Carolina. He's going for the House of Representatives for District 97. He's the one and only, my good friend, Mr. ReZsaun Lewis. What's going on, sir?
Hey, man, thank you so much for having me. I appreciate being back.
Oh, man, I'm glad to be back here at the Logan Power Show. So, man, you've decided yourself, I'm going to get myself involved in the political arena. What made you decide to launch? Because, you did the, talking with ReZsaun, you've been an educator. You're nonprofit. You're doing some great things with distinguished gentlemen. I mean, there's so many realms that you're following in. And you say, I'm just going to launch out, I'm just going to shoot a 3-point shot, and I'm just going to go dunk it hard. I don't care what happens. So what made you decide to take this leap of faith?
Well, I've actually had my eyes on politics and this seat in particular for quite some time. When I moved back I was in the Army until 2007 when I came home and moved back to the Charleston area into the Somerville. And I became a teacher, as you mentioned. I was a teacher. I taught in Dorchester District 2 schools as well as Berkeley County School District. And while teaching, I fell in love with mentorship. I started doing the mentoring with Low Country Youth Services, of which now I'm the executive director, and our organization does great work. But the entire time I've been doing that, I've been watching what's been happening in our nation when you're talking about politics. I'm talking about the lack of representation of people that look, think, and act like me, the stripping away of rights that have happened continuously, the really backtracking that's happened in our country when it comes to making sure that we're providing an equitable and an equal society for all people to be represented. And that frustrated me. Of course, like most young Black men, I guess I would say, I'm a lover of Barack Obama. When he came in 2000, I remember he came in 2007 to North Charleston High School to speak at at my school. I spent my entire day planning to be there, and I was able to be there for his first speech in Charleston, and I was blown away. So that was really the backdrop for me getting into politics. I've been watching it, and then 2021 came. And I was doing a lot of things you mentioned. I was doing Real Talk with ReZsaun, which had been running for 4 years at that point. I'd done a lot of interviews. I'd interviewed politicians, and people would always say, when are you going to throw your hat in the ring for something? And I'd always say, well, I got too many things going on right now. So I really used 2021 as a step back year. And in 2021, I accomplished a few things. I released my first book, which I Need Answers Volume 1, by accepting my own book. I released my first book, put that out there. I completed grad school at College of Charleston. I got my MPA. And I ended my show so that I could free up some brain space. And it was actually at my birthday party on December 19th, 2021, where Representative Crystal Matthews was at there, who's a good friend of mine. She was at the party, and she grabs the microphone. People are saying nice things about me, which I appreciated greatly. And she says, I need y'all to help me to encourage ReZsaun to run. We need people like ReZsaun out there in the forefront, and we don't need him to wait. We need him to run right now. Well, I laughed, I joked. I was like, ha, 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 when the time was right, I'll do it. 2 nights later, my representative, Mandy Kimmons of District 97, resigned her position. And when she resigned her position, Crystal, Representative Matthews, sent me a text message, said, hey, Mandy resigned. What are you going to do? And so on that day, I committed myself to running. I announced my campaign on January 6th. And I ran in the special election, which was on May 17th, which I lost to Mr. Who's now Representative Robbie Robbins. But we were right back in it because this is the election year. So I won my primary on June 14th, and I'm back at it for November.
Absolutely. So, you give it a second chance. It was always talk about comebacks. And, as we know, as husbands and fathers, it's not always easy to step into the political arena. We know that people always look at a person's resume and say, okay, is the person's standards the same on and off camera? That's one of the biggest things we have seen multiple times. People talk one way and talk another. I know that, for me, I always encourage, I don't care if you're white, black, and we've had some great people who have really launched out to the deep and done some things. I remember when House Representative Crystal Matthews was on my show, and she won, and now she's going to be running for senator of South Carolina. We know that it's a mountain to climb around here, and everyone can say like, hey, this is it. But what's going to make you different? Because I know a lot of times people can run into corruption. I'm not saying it's going to happen to you, but you see people say like, this is the life. And then you find there's a whole other spectrum of little entities that can literally swing you left and swing you right. And you're a man of standards, and people respect your standards. Is there going to be a point in your life that you're going to say to yourself, like, man, you know what? If I get it, I'm good. But if not, I'm still going to be a voice for the people.
Yeah, so I'm glad you mentioned that. There people always ask that. What's different about you? Why aren't you like every other politician? And I'll tell you. I mean, if you look at me, if you listen to me, if you have watched my life, you can tell like this isn't your average guy that just decided to run. Most people run, because they want to consolidate and consume power. I've never sought power. I don't aspire to be rich. That's not something that I consider, something worth, searching for me. Now, for people, I know there are people out here that's like, I want to chase the bag, but I always remind my children that when you make the bag your God, you're going to do anything for it. I'm not somebody that's willing to do anything for money. I'm not somebody that's willing to do anything to win. I want to achieve success with integrity, with my morals intact, and being able to look in the mirror and say, I did everything that I could to provide a better tomorrow for my children and for the children that I mentor and the families that I contact on a day-to-day basis. So that's what's different about me. I lead with integrity. That's if I can't do it in honor, I'm not going to do it. And there are a lot of people who get into politics for the exact opposite reason. They lead with, I want to get power. They lead with, I want to acquire wealth. They lead with, so when you see the steps that they're taking, right? If you see the steps they're taking when they're in office, it's probably very similar to the steps they took before they were in office. I think, I forgot I think it was a Temptations movie that said, people say, money makes you more of who you already are. If you take a person without integrity and give them money, there's going to do things that show that they don't have integrity on a higher scale. Throughout my life, no matter where I've been, just a little background on me, I'm from North Charleston. I'm from the hood. I proudly say it's not something that I wear as like this badge of shame. I proudly tell my kids, I'm from the hood. I came from nothing. I came from a little trailer park called Trailmore in North Charleston. It's still right there. You can go there. The old trailer that I lived in is still in Ferndale. It's still there, right? I come from that. And thank God that my mom, my father, my grandparents instilled values in me, like integrity, like honor, like dignity, like persistence, like optimism, knowing that even if I fall down, my job is to make sure that I don't stay down, that I get up. And not only do I get up, that I pick other people up and I don't look down on other people when they fall. And we have a society of people that are looking for you to stumble, looking for you to fall, looking for you to fail so they can laugh at you. But when I see people stumble, when I see people fail, I reach back and I pick up because that's what I want somebody to do for me. And that's the type of person I am as a father. That's the person I am as a husband. That's the person I was as a veteran. That's the person I was as a teacher. That's the person who I am in the nonprofit sector, and that's the person that I will be as a state house representative. And whatever comes after that, I will always lead with integrity and with honor.
Absolutely. And for those who don't know, what District 97 has a population about 46,000 people. They say about 47% is male, 52% female, with another 65% is Caucasian, another 25% African American. And it dwindles down. We understand that Robbie Roberts is current one incumbent. He's one in the seat. You were close. It wasn't like a big gap. It's just trying to figure out. People get to know somebody. I just believe that people just haven't got a chance to really know you. You threw your hat in the hat. And like I said, to be honest, politics is name recognition. Don't get it twisted, ladies and gentlemen. Unless you have those kind of debates that you can really say, okay, let's see what you got. Let's see what we talk about. I can speak personally. Mr. Lewis is, me and him know for some years. I know I've seen his brother. His family's great people. I can't say nothing derogatory about him. Just highly great things about him. He keeps it 100. It's always a standard we keep. It's just like, hey man, I see you on the street, man, more power to you. Do what you got to do. I just want to bring him on the show to encourage you all. If there's someone here who fights for you, because let's be honest, a House of Representatives in this district is not making no hundreds of thousands of dollars, hundreds of thousands. That's not happening. You have to be willing to step into there. Now, because your district, even though 46,000 is not a small number, what do you want to see different that currently you've seen? Because you said I've been studying, I've been focusing. Is there something like on day one, I want to focus on a couple of these focal points if given the opportunity on November 8th?
Yeah, so as a former educator, my main platform issue is making sure that we are making our public schools. I want to make sure I'm very specific, because people will say that they care about schools and want to tear apart our public schools. Our public schools are under attack. Public school educators are under attack. And when you look at what's happening across this state, our schools have ranked between 41st and 48th repetitively for at least the last 20 years. Education has not been fully funded in at least 12 to 15 years. Fully funded, when you're talking about student-based costs, that has not been fully funded. So the first thing that I want to do is see education in the state of South Carolina, public education in the state of South Carolina, fully funded at student-based costs, base cost per student. That's got to happen. 2, we have to reduce classroom size in our public schools. We got to make sure that we have less students in these classrooms so teachers can provide differentiated instruction. 3, we got to make sure that we're paying our teachers a wage that is commiserate of the respect that we should have for our public educators. If we're not doing that, we're not paying our teachers, we're going to continue to lose our teachers to North Carolina and to Georgia, which both are on average, teachers make $6,000 to $8,000 more in North Carolina and Georgia, just coming out the gate. Now, Governor Henry McMaster just signed a bill he's about to sign a bill that in the new budget that's going to raise the new teacher pay from $30,000 to $40,000 for new teachers coming out of college, which is great, right? But what about the teachers that have been around teaching 15, 20, 30 years? They don't deserve a raise. They don't deserve to have competitive pay with neighboring states. We got to make sure that every single teacher in this state is represented and has the pay that is commiserate of the respect we should have for our public educators. 2, we got to make sure we're making healthcare affordable and accessible for all people. South Carolina has mad rural areas that on any given day, a person may have a 45-minute to an hour ride to the nearest hospital or emergency care facility. When we're talking about elderly people in our community who need to be able to get to a hospital in case of an emergency, or people who don't drive, they don't have 45 minutes to an hour. They don't. We got to make sure that we're doing what we can to provide those opportunities. We need to expand Medicare in this state. All right. I'm not a Medicare for all kind of person. I believe that people should be able to pick their own insurance if they have the means. But we should not have a person in this wonderful state that does not have health care and have to decide between, am I going to buy groceries or pay my medical bills? Am I going to get preventative care, or am I going to have to wait until something really bad happens? We got to make sure we're doing that. Infrastructure. We got to fix our roads. You've driven up and down I-26. You know how bad those roads are. If the potholes don't get you, the traffic gets you. We have people moving to our state from these other states that have that, you know, are moving here because we have these wonderful jobs. We have Boeing coming, we have Volvo, Mercedes, we have all these different companies that are coming to the state of South Carolina, and our infrastructure is not growing at that rate. Well, I know what some people are going to say. Well, we just put $100 million into the roads. You know why? Because the Biden administration got the infrastructure bill passed, where out of the 9 representatives that we have on the U.S. On the federal level, only 1 voted to pass that bill. Only 1 out of 9, right? So that tells you that the money that's coming to South Carolina, that $600 billion surplus that Republicans are so excited about having and spending and you know, out of the budget, that's not because we have good fiscal conservative values here. That's because the federal government is rescuing our state. Our state should be rescuing our state. We need people in Columbia at the state house level who are willing to fight for everyday people and not for corporate interests. And that's what I'm going to do when I'm in Columbia.
Absolutely, and I'm encouraging. And everybody doesn't know what. Want to give you a full spectrum of the situation when it comes to school funding. The federal government does about 10%, if that. The state of South Carolina, depending on what he talks about for the school, that's another maybe 10%. The other one comes from local. It comes from local. It's a sales tax. That 1% sales tax that really funds it. Act 388. You think about, we're still running on old laws over 30 plus years funding public schools, public education. You would think with the South Carolina Education Lottery that we would be rocking and bankrolling when it comes to public schools, middle schools. And it's not. It's all going to colleges. It's all going to see. You wonder why Tried and Tech can give those 3 free semesters, because all that money's rolling in. But let's be honest, it's a pathway from kindergarten to 12th grade. If your grades are not even on a standard, you can't even get to a Tried and Tech if you even try. Because they're going to say, like, well, I don't want you because your grades ain't straight. Yeah, I get it. The government gets it for free, but you just barely got through. And we got to understand this. We have to change things that he's talking about. Let's just rebroadcast some of these things that he talked about as well. Is that infrastructure, I-26, 526. 526 is a bottleneck to I-26. We still need to have those wind barriers for people that's on I-26 that has homes on that side. That could have been passed. The infrastructure he talks about, people from up north are bringing their money down, buying all the houses up, and selling their home for top-notch dollar, getting the homes here, and it's changing. And what he's mentioning is that we got to make it that teachers do get paid. He is correct. Teachers coming in $40,000. That sounds great, but let's be truthful, ladies and gentlemen. A teacher in the Charleston district right now, $40,000 cannot get you a standard home. You be running in an apartment, and where are you going to live at? That's the question you got to ask yourself, because unless you're in a certain subject matter, you may get a bonus, and you may not get a bonus. And you got to look at all the praxis exam and all these kind of things you have. Georgia, Florida, and North Carolina waive the praxis exam. They know teachers are there are a necessity. They understood that we got to get rid of certain things. One thing that you mentioned about changing how public schools are, and that's another big incentive. You are all about the nonprofit and helping our youth, our young boys. That is something you love. You put your whole heart, your own child in the program. We know that in your area, your neck of the woods, meaning that you're speaking to other people that may not look like you, and they may not be in the same boat. Because you say, I'm from the hood. Well, person that in your district said, well, I'm not from the hood. How can we relate? How can we come together? I understand what you're saying, but the area that we're in, we're not seeing the same struggles. Because people say, well, let's go with a charter schools. They're doing well. Or you got a magnet schools where the certain magnet schools are pretty much picking who they want to come. You say, oh, school choice. Well, let's be honest. I can tell I want my child to go to the top school in this area. That's not a guarantee that my child's going to get into that school. It's just that I'm just put my hat into the bucket. So how are you going to be able to bridge those gaps with those others who are going to say, well, I get what you're coming from, but it's not affecting my home.
Yeah. Well, what I would say is this. I don't run. I mean, I run on my reputation, but I don't run on, where I'm from. Because like you mentioned, I'm from North Charleston. Most of District 97 is rural areas, not a whole lot of cities, and not a whole lot of inner cities even. So I run on kitchen table topic issues, right? Issues that impact every single one of us. Every single one of us needs access to broadband. That's a kitchen table topic issue. We have homes. We just had the bill. They just put $108 million into building broadband infrastructure throughout the state. Thanks to the infrastructure bill, once again, shout out to President Biden and the Biden administration for getting that passed, which is going to provide internet. I believe the latest estimates were at 450,000 homes and 405,000 homes in the state of South Carolina, which is great. But that still leaves millions of homes without internet. Until every single home in the state of South Carolina has access to broadband internet, it's not enough. Why does that matter? Because we've seen during COVID, people having to go to school from home, people having to work from home. And if you couldn't go to school, if you don't have internet in your home, guess what you got to do to be able to access that remote schooling? You had to drive to a McDonald's parking lot. You had to drive to somewhere that has external Wi-Fi that you can log on to their internet and you use Wi-Fi. They had to bring mobile hotspots out to the rural communities to get. We shouldn't be doing that in 2022. We should have broadband infrastructure in every single home in the state of South Carolina. Remote working opportunities. There have been more economic opportunities working from home with the internet than in this period than any other time in our country's history. That's something that you missed out on if you don't have broadband. So if you tell me that, if you're telling me in the rural areas, people don't want economic opportunity and they don't want access to remote schooling when it's necessary, then by all means, yeah, we're talking completely different things. But I happen to know as a father and as a husband, that's a kitchen table topic issue. Being able to get to and from work in a respectable time. The price of gas right now. You mean to tell me somebody would rather sit 90 minutes in traffic going from Charleston to Somerville to Charleston? You think they would rather do that than 30 minutes with the price of gas right now? You think that's not a kitchen topic issue? It's absolutely. Hospitals is more of a issue in rural South Carolina than it is in city South Carolina. Because when I was in North Charleston, for all the issues that North Charleston has, I was that far from a hospital at any given time. They're not. So these are kitchen table topic issues that every single person in the state of South Carolina has to confront. So I don't really get into a lot of like issues that I consider to be divisive unless somebody asks me to. But these issues that impact every single one of us, that affect Republicans, Democrats, Independents, Green Party, Tea Party, whatever your leanings are, I talk about those and I talk about them well, because that's the place we have to do. First, we have to figure out, what do we agree on? And how do we fix the things that we agree on? Then we can start working on the stuff that we sort of disagree on.
Absolutely. I think you're hitting home on what we talk about here. Let's be honest. We want to have traffic to be brought down. Like you said, at this point, Charleston can't afford to be at another Atlanta. We can't afford it. We just can't. I mean, I'll be straightforward with you right now. Atlanta, Charlotte, Miami, we don't have the infrastructure to even get to that close of level. If we did, it would be even a greater nightmare than ever before. And you pretty much would be seeing that the people who have it will be retaining and holding on it tight fistly without even sharing the wealth. So we definitely, before we even think about, let's get to that next level, let's fix that there. We mentioned about rural hospitals. Let's be honest with you. A 911 call, getting your child to the hospital expediently without no type of hesitation should not take 45 minutes to an hour. It should be something close by. Just like I'm going to get something to eat, I should have to travel such a long way to the grocery store. These are the type of things that we want to see put into these neighborhoods, these communities. Broadband
Food
access.
deserts, for sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah, food deserts. When you touched on that, I just want to make sure I touch on that real quickly.
Yes,
rural
sir.
areas are always, you can always watch people talk about food deserts in inner city areas. There are food deserts in rural areas. How far does a person have to go? People, you ever heard the term driving to town to shop? People have to drive to town to get groceries. You shouldn't be driving 30, 45 minutes to get groceries. And putting a Dollar General in a community is not putting a grocery store in a community. Understand that. A Dollar General is not a grocery store.
Not at all. And I think people, we got to understand this. I want you who are listening to us now, take a listen to what my brother is saying. We're hitting on hot topics that we need to know. We need to know someone who really cares about our future, about us as a people. Doesn't matter what color, what creed we are, but getting to the next level in life. Final thought. I know you're busy, man. You got to get in that campaign trail and make a difference. We know that tomorrow is not promised, and we know that working collectively is the name of the game to be strong, not just say in your district, but in the nation. What do you think would it take for us to pretty much just to, let's stop these party lines and let's come with solutions, in your personal opinion?
Yeah, so I'm glad you asked that. So one thing that I run on is people always ask me, you're a Democrat, blah, 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 blah. And I always say, yeah, I'm a Democrat, I'm a registered Democrat, but I'm a human being before I'm anything. And I think when we get out of this idea that somebody is good or bad based on the party that they chose or the party they align themselves with, and start to see each other as one another as human beings, where I think 90% of things, if you were to ask us, we all want the same thing. We all want clean water. We all want good schools. We want safe roads. We want safe communities. We want to build a life that we can be proud of. I think we all want those things. And we all have different ideas of how to get there. I completely understand that. I think once we start to see each other as human beings and start to strive towards humanity and start to see other people as humans, as opposed to people who are limiting my ability to do X, Y, or Z, we can cover so much ground. We can do so many great things. The things that I've been able to do in my community has not been because I've been trying to be the best Black person or the best Democrat or the best anything. I want to be the best husband, best father, and best human being I can be. And I think if we just looked at it from that standpoint, we could build so many bridges that would heal our nation and heal our world. And until we do that, we will continue to see the struggles. There are people that are invested in seeing us separated, divided. But when we come together as one and we see that's not my enemy, that's my brother, that's my sister, that's somebody that has their own goals, their own aspirations, their own feelings, their own thoughts. And I don't have to shift their thoughts to mine for them to be a good person. No, they can be a good person with their thoughts. That's what I think it's going to take, Calvin. And I hope and I pray for the day that happens. I may not live to see it, but I pray to God that I inspire someone that does.
Absolutely. Well, hats off to you, my brother. November, we're supporting you in regards to making sure that you, we just pray that, heaven's best to you and your family, and give them that opportunity.
One more thing. If you do want to support my campaign, we are looking for people to join the team. If you can go to my website, www.ReZsaunForSC.com. That's www.ReZsaunForsC.com. We need your help. Y'all know I'm a Democrat, so Democrats, we don't got a whole bunch of money. So if you can send donations, I greatly appreciate it. If you want to volunteer, I need people to phone bank, knock doors. We're planning community events. We're going to have an event on September 24th in Walterboro because Colleton County is a big part of my district. We're going to have food, music, basketball, speakers. It's going to be amazing. Come out, check me out. And again, www.ReZsaunForSC.com. Thank y'all and God bless you.
Amen. God bless everyone who's watching this. Keep the faith. Let's work together. Iron's going to sharpen iron. That's all the time I got. My Miss Calvin Logan Power Show, nationwide, worldwide. Hey, November the 8th, 2022. You know who to vote for. My man, ReZsaun Lewis. We love y'all. We'll see you soon.
It's the Logan Power Show. Inspirational and motivational. It's the Logan Power Show. Informational to help you grow. Logan Power Show.